Battlebit Remastered is one of those games that I've been keeping such a close eye on since I first tried it. I always aim to try and make it to as many playtests as possible. Being an Australian, that is easier said than done sometimes, and like many, I have been eagerly awaiting the release date for this game's early access. Yesterday, we got some news from the developers on that front, and some rationale behind that news. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be doing a quick recap on the state of play for Battlebit Remastered. Alright, so as I said, yesterday the Battlebit developers dropped a big post on Steam and on Discord detailing where they are at with development and offered some all-important insight as to when this game is going to release to early access. Now, I could do the whole YouTuber thing here and make you sit through the whole video before getting to that point, but I ain't gonna do that to you all. Unfortunately, the release timeline for Battlebit Remastered into public early access has been delayed by 3 to 4 months, placing the anticipated early access date to March to April 2023. And look, I'll be honest, it's not the news I wanted to see either. I'm also a bit disappointed by that announcement because, you know, I'm really looking forward to being able to play this game a lot more often. I can't get enough of it whenever I do get the chance to play it. But after reading what was quite frankly the most transparent insight I think I've ever seen from a game developer regarding the challenges that they are working through to get where they want to be with early access, I can only agree with the decision to delay. And to everyone who is still here, I would recommend sticking around this video because the transparency that we're going to go through here is frankly unparalleled in the gaming industry. The development article addressed the following points, each of which added some context behind what challenges this game is currently facing before reaching the endpoint as to why the game is getting a delay. Those points were as per follows: servers, DDoS attacks, cheaters, backend, game modes and game content, lastly, and most importantly, cost. It's quite the list of things here that need to be considered when contemplating one's launch of an indie game, a list of issues with varying complexities to solve. We'll start off with the cheater and DDoS problems here. The developers have acknowledged that this game is built on the extremely popular Unity engine, which is also prone to a wide variety of tools that are designed to tamper with games that are built on this engine. The devs aren't burying their heads in the sand on this one, but also acknowledge that in order to develop the appropriate countermeasures, such as server-side movements, more checking, so on and so forth, that these features are causing performance loss on the server side for legit players. So in order to find a happy medium, it will take some serious time to develop proper anti-cheat that doesn't rely on clients that are easy to bypass, that being the easy anti-cheat that they are currently using. The developers will intend to stick with community moderation for the time being via a reporting system and user-recorded clips being sent directly to the developers. Obviously, this isn't a very efficient methodology for the long run, because as your game scales up, so does its exposure to cheaters and therefore your requirement for more moderators, which is another cost in itself. Hence why this is going to be a problem that will take some time to solve and why the developers are using this as a reason for delay. Additionally, the game is still seeing regular DDoS attacks on live playtests, which I can only imagine is coming from some weak as piss Battlefield player whose pseudo-loyalty to that franchise is feeling a little hurt that a 3-man team of developers can do a better job than a AAA studio, but I digress. The developers here are expecting huge DDoS attacks against Battlebit upon its initial early access release. So, as a result, the developers are using Cloudflare to protect the backend and the master servers from said attacks, but using such a service for the game servers is costly and out of the budget completely. So, work is currently going into creating a custom DDoS protection for the game's actual servers. Once again, something that is going to take time, but is incredibly important to having an operational game for a successful launch. Additional content and game modes is also a point of focus here. The developers want to make sure that Battlebit has everything gamers are looking for in a first-person shooter when it comes to quality and quantity. The developers acknowledge that the existing focus on 127 vs 127 player game modes comes from a place of personal passion for them, but we all know that there's a real market for smaller, more tactical and tight-knit servers where calmer and more focused experiences take the forefront. And the developers are making it a mission to make sure that this is actioned, or that this request, if you will, is actioned prior to the early access launch. I really agree with this approach here, guys. It ensures that Battlebit isn't just a one-trick pony that does one experience really well and that's it. This game's core gameplay with its class system, the gunplay, the movement, all of the above, has an opportunity to be enjoyable in so many different formats and game modes. Utilizing that opportunity to create a better package on release is one worth chasing at the cost of a delay. Obviously, the developers also want to work on getting more skins, weapons, and armor sets into the game to bolster the progression system. Hell, even helicopters are in the pipeline as well for early access, which is an exciting prospect that I'm looking forward to seeing. For the playtest that has just wrapped up, there was a big content update for the game that brought about new weapons, gadgets, character customization, armor sets to the game, which has been a welcome and awesome breath of fresh air to the game, and it's good to see the developers are able to pump out this new content that's obviously of high quality. All the new weapons felt great. I'll also be covering the new content drop in more detail in our next video, so get subscribed if you haven't done so already. It's free and it keeps you up to date with when that content will go live. But anyway, shameless self-plugs aside, without question, the biggest challenge that the Battlebit developers are facing is just the monumental task of actually running the game from an operating cost perspective. Battlebit Remastered is a game that has exploded in popularity this year, now repping 20,000 concurrent players per playtest on a good night. It's stuff that most indie game developers in the multiplayer space only dream of. And this little 3-man development team is living that dream, having a dedicated community who love your game and are right there with you as you work on the game and aim to realize your vision is something that I can only imagine is incredibly special. But as I've said before, this is a 3-man development team. There are no publishers funding the title. This is all off the back of 3 individual developers. And when you are running a game that sports 127 versus 127 player servers with a population scale like this, you're going to need a lot of server infrastructure, and good infrastructure for that matter. Which leads us to the crux of the remaining topic points raised by the developers, ensuring that they have the budget and the capacity to run this game upon launch for the insane amount of players that they are anticipating will flock to this title at said launch. And more importantly, running it for more than just a small stress test on the weekend. The developers have been incredibly transparent about their budget and their hardware limitations as it stands. Currently, the team is still seeking server providers in Asian and Brazilian markets that typically cost anywhere between 12 to 60 times their NA and EU counterparts. Additionally, the Battlebit backend has yet to be tested with over 20,000 active concurrent players, and knowing the hype surrounding this game, I have a feeling that the game is well and truly set to break that record when it goes into early access. So there's a lot of uncharted territory on its own here, but above all else, the developers have offered some insight into their projected costs and how it rates up against their current earnings. Currently, Battlebit's early access cost is set to be around $45,000 to $50,000 a month, which is accounting for game server costs in all regions, Cloudflare, backend servers in all regions, DDoS protection, and databases in all regions. The developers are aiming to achieve a technically sound experience by ensuring all of the relevant infrastructure is present and operating by the time the game launches into early access, hence the above cost estimate. And holy shit, that is an expensive as hell budget for a small 3-man indie team to work with. Now, currently the developers are making $10,000 a month via their Patreon campaign, which the lead developer is taking around $400 to $500 of that to live, as Battlebit is now his full-time job. $4,500 to $5,000 of that is going to current operating costs of the servers just to get 20k users playing on the weekends. The rest is going to the budget for that early access launch, which is critical as ever, as Steam withholds funds made from sales for 1 to 2 months, which means that the developers need that budget on hand for the first 2 months to cover operating costs. And additionally, the developers can't take pre-orders through Steam due to early access nature of the whole project, meaning that, well, Steam will not allow pre-orders to happen for an early access game. It sounds like a monumental task, and having that insight now as to how much this little indie developer made low poly shooter that is giving AAA industry titans like Battlefield a run for its money, it's just crazy to me, and I had no idea that this game is costing that much to potentially run in the long run, and it's a position that I really don't envy the developers for at all. And knowing all of that, and knowing all of the financial risk that this project actually carries with it, I kind of respect the developers even more for being this transparent with the community about what is going on here. This is a lot of personal information to raise with a community here of gamers that is over 20,000 players strong in size. That is, you're talking financials, operating costs, all of that. It's a very vulnerable position to put yourself in. So I really respect the developers for providing their Patreon backers and their wider community this context and this information as to what the hell is going on here. So, noting the complexities that the developers are facing, what are the answers here? Well, the developers now plan on running pre-orders through their Patreon campaign accordingly to fund the release into early access. As of October 1st, the Battlebit Patreon will change in price to $15, as that is the standard price of the game, but you'll gain all the benefits of a standard Patreon backer on the subscription currently. From what I can make out from this wording and this language, it sounds like that this $15 investment will be a one-off thing, a one-off purchase into the early access, sort of acting like a pre-order. But if a developer can clarify that in the comment section down below, I'll ping the comment accordingly to make things incredibly clear for you guys, the viewers. Overall, as I said before, guys, Battlebit Remastered is a game that I am watching with great intent and am playing at every opportunity I can get. I want this game to succeed as much as anyone does. Hell, I want this game to challenge the AAA industry currently. I want it to, stick up the middle finger and go, hey, this is how you make a game properly. And it has every opportunity to do that. It's just clear that there is a lot of work for the developers to do, and I hope that they are up to the challenge. But folks, with all of that said, that's the current rundown for Battlebit Remastered and a little bit of an update as to what's going on with this game and where it's slated to release. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to backhand the like button, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Do you think Battlebit Remastered and its developers are up to the challenge that they face in the future, or do you think it's all too much and they should just release the game right here, right now? Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. As I said before, more content coming around Battlebit's new content, so make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with that. And as always, social media links are linked in the description down below. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.